Trump's 2025 tightening of family visas. What's behind the new I-130 scrutiny? I-130 reviews are intensifying. Today we are examining a rising pattern influencing I-130 family petitions nationwide. Over recent weeks, families have reported more questions, deeper document checks, and slower progress within their cases. Immigration attorneys across the country confirm that these patterns are not isolated or random. Although no public policy change has been announced, the evidence shows a shift in how officers are reviewing family-based petitions. Many believe this trend aligns with the Trump administration's renewed focus on tighter immigration scrutiny. Families waiting patiently for approvals now describe feeling unsure about timelines that previously felt predictable. The emotional pressure increases when every month brings more silence than movement. Attorneys notice a shift. Attorneys began observing synchronized changes across multiple service centers during early November 2025. These observations emerged from cases handled at Nebraska, Texas, California, and Potomac. The similarities between cases indicate something deeper than individual officer decisions. Legal experts believe internal guidance or performance expectations may have shifted quietly behind the scenes. Because no public announcement has been released, families remain uncertain about what level of documentation USCIS now expects. This absence of clarity creates additional tension during an already stressful process. Many applicants feel confused, especially when their cases suddenly stall after months of steady movement. The lack of visible reasoning intensifies feelings of vulnerability. Financial verifications expanded. Financial documentation appears to be one of the most heavily affected areas during this period. Sponsors close to the minimum income requirement are receiving far more detailed requests. Families report new demands for several years of tax transcripts, complete pay histories, verified employment letters, and bank statements confirming stable monthly deposits. These expectations feel significantly higher than previous years. Sponsors with modest incomes feel the weight of these changes more intensely. Even minor discrepancies between tax records and pay documents appear to trigger additional questioning. The increased focus on financial stability likely reflects a broader administrative preference for stricter self-sufficiency standards. However, the legal guidelines themselves remain unchanged at this moment. Applicants describe feeling uncertain about whether their financial proof is strong enough to withstand evolving expectations. This uncertainty contributes to new delays and deeper emotional stress. Relationship scrutiny rising. Relationship evidence is also facing noticeably tighter review. Couples maintaining long-distance relationships or living apart due to work, visas, or cultural conditions feel this pressure strongly. Officers now appear to require more extensive communication logs, multi-year travel evidence, and stronger proof demonstrating genuine shared responsibilities between partners. These expectations exceed what many couples previously provided. Even relationships considered strong and well-documented are experiencing additional scrutiny. Attorneys warn that couples must now prepare documentation far beyond minimum guidelines to avoid delays. Couples separated by borders describe feeling helpless, especially when they cannot produce documents that simply do not exist due to cultural or personal limitations. The emotional burden increases when legitimate couples fear being misunderstood or doubted despite following every rule correctly. Processing speeds declining. Processing times are gradually widening across multiple service centers. Although USCIS still displays estimated timelines, real-world reports tell a different story altogether. Many families now observe their cases approaching 17 to 19 months, even when their documentation appears strong and error-free. This timeline drift marks a significant departure from previous years. The delays appear linked to the deeper review procedures officers must follow. More time spent on each file naturally reduces overall output across service centers. For families separated for long periods, every additional month carries emotional and practical consequences. Watching a case sit unchanged for months is often one of the hardest parts. Applicants describe checking their case status multiple times daily, hoping for movement that rarely appears. The silence alone becomes a source of stress. NVC delays spreading. As USCIS slows down, the National Visa Center is experiencing growing delays of its own. NVC cannot begin processing until USCIS approves the petition and forwards it. Applicants in countries with high demand, such as Mexico, India, Pakistan, and the Philippines, report slower transitions between stages. Even documentarily qualified families wait longer for interview dates than in previous years. These delays create a chain reaction affecting every stage of the immigration process. Once a bottleneck begins, it moves through NVC and eventually impacts consulate scheduling. Families ready for interviews often describe feeling trapped between two agencies, unable to predict when their case will finally move forward. This extended waiting period affects planning for travel, employment, housing, and family reunification timelines. No public guidance given. One of the most difficult parts of this situation is the complete absence of public explanation. USCIS has not released any official memo or policy update. Without clear guidance, families cannot know what standard officers are applying or how much documentation is considered sufficient. This unpredictability creates anxiety and confusion. Attorneys acknowledge the reality of these changes but cannot point to any formal documents explaining the reasons. This lack of transparency leaves families feeling unsupported. Applicants who submitted cases months ago now worry whether their documentation meets expectations that were not public at the time. This disconnect adds new layers of stress. Families often feel unprepared because they followed the official checklist, only to discover that actual expectations appear significantly higher. Emotional pressure mounting. The emotional strain on families is increasing rapidly. Couples separated for long periods describe feeling exhausted by the uncertainty surrounding their petitions. Parents remain distant from their children while waiting for approvals that once moved faster. Spouses miss birthdays, milestones, and important family moments due to prolonged delays. This separation affects health, work performance, and mental well-being. The feeling of having no control over the timeline adds frustration and emotional fatigue. Families repeatedly express a desire for transparency, predictability, and communication from the government. These needs remain unmet during the current environment. For many applicants, the waiting feels heavier than any paperwork requirement. The emotional cost is rarely acknowledged but deeply felt. CO sponsors question more. Joint sponsors are also encountering tighter scrutiny than before. In previous years, co-sponsors often submitted basic documents without further questioning. Today, many co-sponsors are asked to provide detailed financial records, written declarations, or clarifications about their willingness to support the immigrant long-term. These additional requirements discourage some individuals from participating. Families relying on joint sponsors feel new pressure as they navigate more demanding requests. Sponsors often agree out of trust or family responsibility, but the heightened scrutiny can create hesitation during the application process. This setback disproportionately affects low-income families. These trends signal a broader administrative effort to re-emphasize financial reliability within family petitions. Key steps for families. Families can still strengthen their cases by adopting a more proactive strategy. Submitting clean, organized, multi-year tax documentation reduces the likelihood of financial questions. Providing detailed relationship evidence, including communication timelines and travel records, helps minimize scrutiny. Preparing joint sponsor materials early prevents last-minute complications. Responding promptly to any requests for evidence helps keep the case progressing, even during times of slower movement across agencies. Although these steps cannot eliminate delays entirely, they reduce the risk of unexpected setbacks. Families who remain organized, responsive, and thorough are better positioned to navigate the challenging environment of 2025. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.